Good morning, everyone. How are you doing today? My name is Chelsea. Welcome to Little Mountain Ranch. I'm really happy to have you here with me today on this gorgeous, gorgeous early spring day. It's around 8 o'clock in the morning right now, and I thought we would start off today with the first garden tour of 2024. This is going to be the earliest I have ever done a garden tour on my channel, which is very thrilling and exciting to me because garden is something that I absolutely love, love, love. As you can see, we hardly have any snow left on the ground. It looks like it is going to be between 15 and 18 degrees Celsius for the next 4 or 5 days, which is so exciting. It means I'm going to actually start to be able to get some work done in my garden. Oh my goodness. So I'm just going to walk you around and give you an overview of the growing spaces that I have here and talk about my plans for the 2024 garden. But before we do that, let's walk down here and check and see how our sheep are doing. And I wanted to answer a couple of questions that came in on my last video where I was talking about what sheep I'm going to be selling, what sheep I'm going to be keeping, and why. So we'll get to that in just a sec. Well, good morning, milkweed. This is one of my milk cows here, one of my favorite milk cows. Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hi, Hazel. How you doing? Hi, Cupcake. How are you? So I don't know if you can see Baba back there. He is in underneath Miss Hazel here, who is not his mom. Briar over there is doing absolutely fantastic with snow. You can see a little snow in behind her there. She giving herself a little scratch on the wall. This is Smokey. This is my ram. But I'm gonna run and grab some alfalfa pellets for them. All right, as you can see over there, there's 2 black little babies nursing off of this beautiful lady here. So Prim has definitely turned out to be a dud. That is this one here. She is this guy's mama. That's Baba. And out in this bigger pen, she's just not letting him nurse pretty much at all. So Miss Hazel here, lovely Hazel, has adopted him. Nala. Good morning. How are you, sweet girl? I try to make sure that Hazel, because she's feeding 2 babies, gets it right out of my hand to make sure. Let's finish you in there, sweetheart. Come here. So this little guy is now sneaking off of Briar, and she's not aware that it's not her baby nursing off of her. Poor little guy. But he's certainly not lacking. Look at the size of him. He's the biggest of all of them. So I had mentioned that I am going to be selling Cupcake. Cupcake is our one lone ewe lamb, and the reason for that is because I've decided to keep my ewes and the ram that I had bred them to this year. I may have made a different decision if I'd ended up with a whole bunch of ewe lambs, but I didn't. I just have one, and I don't want to breed him back to his daughter. So that's the reason why I have to sell her, and I'm not able to keep her. We are going to have our sheep shorn probably around the beginning to the mid of April, and that's really exciting. These are going to be very dirty fleeces, as you can see. I have been talking to a couple of different people who raise Romneys in particular, but wooled sheep, and they say that it's actually best to have them, once they've been shorn, to put coats on them and leave coats on them all the way through until you shear them again, and that way all of the hay that's in their coats in my sheep isn't there, and it doesn't make the fleeces super dirty and hard to clean. I'm not sure that I'm going to do that. We'll wait and see. But one of the other options is to keep them in a pen that doesn't have hay on the ground, like this, keep it all raked up. My neighbor does that, and feed them in feeders where they have to stick, like a keyhole feeder where they have to stick their head in, unlike my sheep that can stick their whole entire bodies pretty much in and get all covered in hay. I do have a couple of fleeces. Maybe we'll do that actually when we go inside. You want to wash one of the fleece, and I have one that we've washed that I need to pick through and get all the hay out, so maybe we'll do that. That'll be fun. So let's take a wander down to the gardens and I will fill you in on all the plans, which I'm very excited about. We'll start with the most boring garden, although it actually produces more pounds of veggies than all of my other garden spaces combined. But first, I wanted to share something with you. I have a thief in my chicken coop. Something is coming in and eating all my eggs during the night. And I suspect it is a skunk. So my plan is to set up a wildlife camera in here just to confirm that's what's happening, and also to get a trap to put in here, because we went from getting upwards of 20 eggs a day to exactly this many. And that is just not okay. So I'll keep you updated with that. If I do catch anything on the wildlife camera, I will definitely show you, probably in the next video. Up to the crop garden we go. In this garden, I usually grow potatoes, onions, carrots, sometimes squash. I might be doing squash up here again this year. I try to rotate things through, but our plan with this garden space is to increase the size of it. So it goes all the way up way back there, all the way over here and down here. So our plan is we are going to bring it down a couple more feet this way and over probably, I don't know, 10 feet or so this way. And we may even, Dan was talking about bringing it up right in front of the cabin here. In fact, I'll take you down to the root cellar and we'll see how our produce is looking this time of year. But we can store it for a long time. So I want to grow an excessive amount of that, because even if we don't end up consuming it ourselves, we can feed it to livestock in the spring. Crops like potatoes and carrots and beets, rutabagas, turnips, all those kinds of things are really easy to grow up here. We kind of have a prime climate for them. And so I may as well grow extra since I have the space to do so. So down here, this is my main growing space here. So from over here, this is my asparagus patch. And then this is all my main growing space. Goes all the way down there. There's the dogs down there. Can you see them? Over to here. And then this is my forest garden. That's what I call it. I'll talk more about that when we get into that space in a minute. So we have quite a lot of growing space here on the ranch. This is my little greenhouse that I use to start a lot of my seeds in the spring, and then my high tunnel down there. And I'm pretty excited because this may be the first year that I have actually had my garden ready for planting. We got it ready in the fall, ever. So that's pretty great because I'm not having to look at my spring garden and see a massive amount of work that I have to do. So I will definitely be trying to do that again this coming up fall. One thing that I definitely have to do is finish this gate. One of my sons built this gate for my garden for me in the fall, but this piece here that's on the ground that goes right here hasn't been attached yet, so we need to get that done, because the last thing I want is cows in my garden, and that has happened more times than I would like to admit. Oh my goodness, look at this. You, out, 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 out. You are not supposed to be in here. Come on, out, out. How did you even get in here in the first place? How did you even get in here? Out you go, out, 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 out. This cow is an absolute menace. He is just terrible. Out, 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 out. Out, out. Okay, this is kind of a weird thing, but every red cow I have ever had is a menace. And just gets through fences and gates and projects that we're going to be doing in the next week, which I'm really excited about, is taking all of the plastic off the front and the back. As you can see, a lot of it's already off of the high tunnel. The prevailing winds come in from the south, and that's this side. and they tend to blow, actually they're more likely to blow the back out with the wind moving through the high tunnel and blowing the back out, but they also obviously blow the plastic off of this side as well. So what we're going to do is take this plastic off. I am going to paint all of this wood. I'll show you the color. I'm going to paint it in a second. And then we are going to put hard plastic, greenhouse plastic, like my little greenhouse up here, on the front and back of the high tunnel so that I don't have to deal with this being blown off at least a couple of times every summer. So that's really exciting. One of the issues that I've had growing in this high tunnel over the last few years, outside of last year, has been blossom end rot. And when I was first researching blossom end rot, a lot of the literature talks about a calcium deficiency. So I amended my soil with calcium and continued on my merry way. But what I learned with further research is that the calcium deficiency is caused by a lack of the plant's ability to uptake the calcium from the soil, which is generally caused by insufficient watering or inconsistent watering. And one of the things that's hard about watering with a hose is you never quite know if that water is getting down deep into the roots. And I'm assuming, because I didn't end up with any blossom end rot last year to speak of at all, and that the soil got to be nice and moistened right down into the deep parts of the root systems, that was the issue that I was having, is I wasn't watering deeply enough when I was having to hand water with a hose. And obviously this is a huge time saver for me as well, because it would take me over an hour to water the high tunnel every single day, sometimes twice a day when it was really hot. So highly recommend it if you can do it. Plan is on Friday. Actually, no, my mom's coming out on Friday. So on Saturday, I will do the painting because it's supposed to be 18 degrees that day. And we'll get this all painted up and it's going to look really nice. Plus, painting it is going to help it last longer too. So let's head up to the little greenhouse and I'll show you what we're going to do up there. So this is going to be the color, this green color that I'm going to be painting down on the greenhouse. And fortunately, because this has been covered, we built this around 7 years ago, I think. I don't have to repaint this, but I do have to repaint the door. So I'm going to do that too. And in here is a huge mess, like a huge mess. It's kind of the catch-all place in the fall for everything, but I have to get this all cleaned up. And then we are going to do one of two things. We haven't decided yet, and time will kind of determine whether we get to this project or not. But we want to take some of the corrugated plastic, the hard stuff, and put it on the inside of this. So you can see I have a layer of greenhouse film on the inside of this greenhouse, and this is because it still gets below freezing when I bring my seedlings out here. And I do use plastic that I put across here, and then it hangs down and my seedlings go underneath, and I have heaters that run in here when I put my seedlings out when they outgrow the indoor growing space. So we put the extra plastic on to just give a little bit of extra protection to the plants and also to stop drafts, and it's worked really well for that, but it's constantly falling down. So by putting the corrugated plastic on the inside, it'll just make it permanent and it won't be able to get holes in it or anything like that, which this plastic can, obviously. And so that's kind of what we would really like to do. Whether we have time to do that is a different matter. So we have come up with something else that we're going to do, because one of the other issues with this plastic is it blows down. You can see how it's hanging down there, and it's actually blown right down over here because the wind comes in, like I said, from the south, goes in underneath and then blows the plastic down. So I did put this board up there last year, and that's as far as I got, to hold the plastic. So we might do that. Dan was talking about just making some small strips, and we'll just tack them on all over this plastic to hold it up. So that may end up being what we do if we don't here. So yes, getting this all clean and ready for my seedlings, which will actually probably come out here by the 1st or 2nd week of April. I'll be starting to move seedlings out here. So I'm going to need to get all of this done by that point. So this is another area along the very edge of my garden that I use weed barrier, and it has been very effective at keeping the quackgrass from coming into my garden. All of the grass that you can see that grows in between the rows in my garden is not quackgrass, so it doesn't get into my garden beds. And I find that this is a really nice way of having my garden just stay nice and tidy and look pretty in the summertime, because I just mow the rows with the grass. This garden that you can see here is called my forest garden, and it's not looking really pretty this time of year, but it looks absolutely beautiful in the summertime. I have fruit trees and berry bushes and medicinal herbs all planted in this space. I built this 6 years ago now. Gardens like this, perennial gardens like this, are definitely a long game, but we're at the point where it's productive and it makes me really happy. So I have apple trees, I have cherry trees, I have sea buckthorn, comfrey, haskaps, gooseberries, choke cherries. What else do I have in here? Raspberries. And then I also have flowers planted in here as well. And then I did plant a few more apple trees last year down over here. I lose track of when I do things. I think that was actually the year before. And I'm considering turning this big space that's down over here that doesn't have anything in it into an extension of the forest garden, but more of an orchard style looking space. So I could probably fit another maybe 10 fruit trees in this area. So I think that's what we'll do. And now we've made it all the way to the other end of the garden to the root cellar. So we'll go in here and I'll show you where we're at with our produce. Certainly not a ton left in here. Oh, I also want to paint this with the same green as the greenhouse. I've been meaning to do that for years. So we're definitely starting to run low. We're into the small potatoes here. We have around 4 bins left of potatoes. So that's actually less than I thought, because we probably go through 1 full bin of potatoes every 3 to 4 weeks or so. So we will run out a bit early this year. So that's all we actually have left in here. Our last bin of carrots is up at the house. So that's not excellent, but it's certainly better than none, isn't it? So I just have to grab something from the high tunnel that I forgot down there, and then we'll head up to the house and pull out a fleece and start washing it. I really want to learn how to spin really badly. It's one of those things that I just think I would really enjoy, and a skill that I'll probably develop. I just heard Canadian geese from out on the meadow. That's a very springy sound. And I heard red-winged blackbirds yesterday. That is the sure sign that spring is officially here. I can't really explain the feeling that touching this wool gives me. I know, I don't have any words for it. But this is one of the fleeces that I already washed, and we've picked through. I'll show you the whole process as we go through it. And it just feels so soft and luxurious, and it smells so good. And I just can't wait. So I've decided I'm going to do 2 fleeces. I'm going to do Hazel's fleece from last year, so I'll show you that in a sec, and Prim's fleece. So we'll do a white one and a brown one. So this one is Prim's fleece, and you can see how dirty it is. Oh my goodness. It's so dirty. And then we have Hazel's fleece, which is equally as dirty, but because it's brown, you can't tell. Alex is absolutely obsessed with these bins, which is really interesting because these were the bins that we used with lambs when we had the lambs in the house. And she was obsessed with the lambs, just rubbing all over them and licking them. And these obviously still smell a little bit like the lambs because she's been in here rolling around and sniffing and licking the inside of this. I don't know what it is, but she likes lambs. So I'm kind of wondering if I should divide this up into 2 separate ones. I think so. Look at how beautiful that is. So I've already gone through this and taken off the really poopy bits of it. I think that's called skirting when you do that, but I am certainly no expert. Lanolin is in this. So the reason that we're going to be washing this is of course because it's dirty, but also because it has lanolin, which is a natural oil that the sheep's wool has. And lanolin is actually in lots of beauty products because it is nice on your skin. Makes your skin feel all soft. What are you doing, Alex? Do you like wool? What is it you like about it? Okay, we have to go rinse this one though. What are you doing? Look at that. She is eating the wool. Has anyone ever seen a cat behave like this before? What on earth, girl, are you doing? So we basically want to agitate the wool with the water as little as possible so that we don't end up felting it, kind of binding it all together. I wasn't super gentle with this one, and it came out nice and fluffy. So gentle enough, not kind of extreme agitation, but you can move it around to loosen all of that lanolin and the dirt. Okay, so once the wool has been dried, then we laid it, what we did with this one is we laid it out on the table like this, and then we picked it apart. And this has already been picked through. We have to pick through it again, and I'll show you why. So you basically just do exactly this. Just pick through it, and what happens, I don't know if you can see that, but all the little dirt bits that are in there, little particles of hay, anything that's in there that shouldn't be, falls out onto the table here. So it is important, one thing we did find is to make sure that you give yourself a big enough workspace that you can move, like put your finished wool to a different spot so you're not sitting it down right in the pile of dirt. So just like this. So this is a really good activity for listening to a really good podcast or an audiobook, or sitting around the table with a bunch of other people doing this and having a good conversation, because it is not the most entertaining activity in the world. And then once we're done this, so I haven't done this yet, obviously, because this is not carded, is we're going to card it. And from what I understand with carding, it also will help get out some more of the dirt and stuff that's falling down here. It also lines all the fibers up in a line so that they're all even like this. And then you can spin them into yarn. Oh my gosh, that's just so cool. You know what is super sad for me though, is I am super, super sensitive to wool. I can wear merino wool, and that's what the shirt is that I'm wearing. Merino wool doesn't have the same kind of little teeth on it that can make your skin itchy and agitated as this wool does. And it's kind of sad for me because this doesn't bother me at all. Like the feeling of this, I can have this right against my skin. There's no itch. If this was like a wool sweater and I put that against my skin, I could hold it there for just a couple minutes and then I would start feeling itchy and prickly. And anyone who has an intolerance to having wool against their skin, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It is not a great feeling. But anyway, it doesn't do it when it's like this. I wish so much that it wouldn't cause me issues, but it does. But I could certainly wear a pair of slippers in wool. I wear slippers, alpaca. Alpaca is another fiber that I can actually have against my skin. That's kind of similar to merino. But I could wear wool slippers because I have socks on with my slippers. So yeah, I don't know if you can see this. You see all this dirt here? So this all just came off of the sheep. So there are some actual wool fibers in there that came out too, but all this stuff here is dirt. So I think this will be the last picking that we do on this particular wool because we have gone through it once already. And then I think it'll be ready for carding. For those of you that do spin or process your own wool, am I right? Can I card this now? I've been talking to my friend Sherry. Sherry, if you're watching, hi. Who lives next door to us. She is just a love. I just adore her. But she is a spinner. She has Icelandic sheep. I think that's what it is, right, Sherry? Is Icelandic sheep. And she has offered to show me how to spin before, and we've been talking about it for years now. So now might actually be the time when I can actually do it. We have also been talking about learning how to tan our own sheepskins ourselves, which I've watched several videos on, and it definitely looks like it's a lot of work, but not exactly super difficult, just a lot of actual labor to get them all done properly. But that is something that I have also always wanted to do. So I'm very excited about that. Learning all this stuff. Oh, it's so soft, my friends. I wish you could feel it. It's so incredibly soft. Oh, that's interesting. This one isn't quite as bad as this one. We're on to our third rinse, and we are definitely getting there. This is back-breaking work. Go slow, go slow, go slow. Oh, that's hot. Oh, that is really hot. Oh my goodness, my foot's in the way.
You need like a screen table.
Oh, that would be a really great idea.
And then 5-gallon pails that you
Yeah.
can carry. You just bring that and dump them on it.
So definitely doing larger amounts of this is going to require some kind of much more efficient setup. Dan had a really good idea of making, I don't know if you heard that or not, but having like a screen table that we can just dump the wool onto and then put it back in the bucket and take it back in the house to get more hot water. But yeah, my back certainly cannot take hauling these in and out. That's for sure, 7 times or however long it's gonna take. She is obsessed. You would think it was catnip. Okay, friends, I have the fleeces washed. I'm gonna show those to you in a second. So we just went through and picked all of this. That's what it's called, I think, is picking, where you pull it all apart. All of this wool here, and look at all this. This is all of the dirt and grime and everything that came out of that wool. So I'm now going to wash this table off, lay some towels out, and then we'll lay out the wool that we just washed. But here, I'll show you the difference here. So this is unwashed, and then this is washed. And this is the brown one. And my goodness, Hazel's fleece was dirty. I've seen lots of people use old screens and then have them raised up a little bit so there can be some airflow, but I just used towels last time and put a fan blowing on it, and I think it took around 3 days or so to dry the fleece, I think, but we'll see now this time how long it takes for these to dry. So that is the end of today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye everyone. Whoops. Fluffies on my fingers.